Welcome to the Arcaders Pub. Due to possible use of language and potential discussion topics, this pubcast is not recommended for younger audiences. So please, use discretion and common sense while listening. You got all that? Okay, then grab yourself a drink and let's talk some video games!
Welcome everyone to the Arcaders Pub. I'm your host, the recording provider.
We haven't even got a chance to start yet, dang it!
What? It's the arcade.
Friggin'
Where
Ryan, you take it. I don't know. I'm not in the mood. You go ahead.
I can take it
take
over.
the pub
Like
away.
I've already started.
Or someone else. I didn't say take it over.
You do that every week, Daniel.
Use your suave British voice to introduce the cast. I
Okay,
don't know.
we have the as usual Daniel Van Dyke.
We're back! Finally, after what? 2 months?
Like a few weeks.
We have our landlord Caius, who's here as usual when he's not pulling a sickie.
Hey.
We have Ryder here, who's never missed an episode.
Hey, what's up,
What?
my man? It's time for the Rider Show, man.
Who's put
And
on
apparently
put
he's-
on a bit of muscle since we last saw him.
And also he's apparently gone Jamaican too.
I was thinking bad Italian, but whatever.
That's because I'm Italian.
You want to speak bad Italian? Is it like this? But also we have Jude Knight.
Hey, it's me. It's Jude back from MomoCon.
He almost actually
a
said his
month
own name.
Almost a month. It's been almost a month since MomoCon, actually.
And
but
this
yes,
is post E3 apocalypse, so it turned out the
apocalypse. What
was
the heck are you talking about?
Well, it
Everything
was
was
caused
awesome.
by Metroid, 2 Metroid games. Like, you can't have that, otherwise the apocalypse would happen. And we're
Where
in the
are the
middle
four
of it
horsemen
right
then?
now.
And now Daniel hates 2D Metroid
Yep,
games.
like all
no.
those.
He's like, they'll never make another 2D Metroid game, so I can say I like it.
No.
And they
2D
announce it,
Metroid
and he's
game.
like, oh, now I hate that too.
If this is the apocalypse, then where are the four horsemen?
They did announce.
We've got
What does
five.
that make me
We've
though?
got
No,
five of
there's
us.
5 of us!
What does that make me then? Yeah.
Well, I'm
Well, it would make you Jesus, okay?
I'm a
Okay.
writer, so that definitely helps.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that responsibility, but whatever.
Well, then again, according to other interpretations, there are
Anyway,
multiple versions of one. Hey, sorry, go ahead.
it's a pub, and at the pub we talk about video games. I sound so unenthusiastic, but I don't really care. Guys, what have you all been
Kind of
doing
convenient that you
playing?
sound so. You actually don't care.
I don't really care. No, I mean I like the pub. I'm thinking after this episode onward, I'll probably just drop the episode numbers and just keep have a title just so it doesn't really matter. We can release one whenever we record, and who cares?
Yeah.
Listen to it whenever we record.
Yay.
Maybe if we actually get an audience at some point, then I'll get more serious about it.
Well,
But until then, I got reviews to make. So, guys, what have
Who
you been
wants
playing?
to start?
one game. Let's just stick with
mind if
one
I-
game, please.
No, I got 2 games.
Okay, mind if I start off?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, been playing a couple of games recently. One of them is ARMS. I'll talk more into that when we get to the actual topic.
Whoa!
I think we want whoever listens to this to actually have eardrums.
What?
You heard me.
I don't get it.
I heard.
That was
I
pretty
got
loud.
it,
I don't
Okay.
understand the reference.
It's not a
but
reference.
you're drunk.
How could I be drunk if I never drink
Tell
any
us-
alcohol beverage?
Ryan, tell us about ARMS.
I said I will talk about ARMS later.
Oh.
Tell us about not ARMS then.
What I'm going to talk about is Shyness, the Lightning Kingdom.
Ooh.
I've been playing that too, actually.
Please tell me.
I have never heard of this
wanted
game.
to play it, but
Intrigue me.
I didn't get to it.
It's a RPG similar to that of like Naruto, if I'm going to compare it to anything. So you got about your
Naruto's an
usual kind of
RPG? I thought that was a
Just,
fighting
I
game.
think he means the style of like art in the world and
no, kind of. it's more of a case of you've got your standard RPG tropes. So you've got a party, and you go into encounters with them. Except battles are more akin to 1v1 and battles, and it's real-time fighting. So each character has a few different variants between each other. Their own fighting style, what elements they are strong at the start, and how you play with them will change up their strengths and weaknesses as you go on. I'm not too far into it right now because it's an RPG. You need to take time with these kind of things, so this is more first impressions. But from what I've played so far, my only main issue I have with it so far is the camera. You need to actually... The camera is a free roam even in combat. So if you lose out where your opponent is, it's not going to be very helpful for you.
Is it one of those games that has like camera sensitivity options?
I believe it has, yeah. But
Okay.
it's not a case of you move it to the right and then it's just like... Wait, was that moving? Is it how am I moving this fast? I'm moving at Mach 6. Woo!
Wait,
Ooh.
oh yeah, how about the part where, like, how do I run with my controls? Like, if I click on the stick, he's crouching. Oh, an R2 button. Logic?
Now,
Well, actually,
This is
let
video
me
games.
put it
They
like
don't
this.
use logic.
Most games actually do kind of do that with a crouch. So push down on the stick, you crouch.
Yeah, usually crouch buttons are like are bound to the analog stick.
So your argument there is invalid to that point.
Who, me? I don't think I'm...
no.
I think
no.
he means Daniel.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, Daniel said, "I'm now crouching. Why am I crouching when I've pushed down the stick?"
Well, I'm just so used to most nowadays, like, when you push on the stick, it's not a sprint button. It's just one of those things that have been taken over from, like, Call of Duty, or if they do have, like, a sprint button on another button, it's usually one of the face buttons. Very rare
I can understand that part, but at the
And
same,
I do like that control.
at the same time, I can understand why they did that, considering that the face buttons are for combat and interacting with the world.
Yeah, I actually played about, like, an hour of it, so I basically got, like, the friends back together. Do you want to talk about the story, or don't mind if I just explain?
I prefer not.
Well, I was just doing like a more first impressions kind of feel to it. So
I have a question about, like, since we're on the topic of the controls of the game. Is this one of those games like where you're playing on the keyboard and mouse, or you're playing it with the controller?
it does recommend a gamepad if you're playing on PC, but
Yeah.
it is available
Oh,
on
okay.
PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah,
I believe.
it seems like it was designed with a controller in mind. Because the thing is, it's a Naruto-style fighting game, as Ryan was explaining. Naruto-style fighting game combined with a RPG.
Which is funny.
So the combat system is more Naruto related. So all that style of combat, as opposed to more traditional RPGs.
Which is funny considering that the
Or just traditional fighting styles.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny that it's a Naruto theme, even though the inspiration came from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I was thinking, looking at it, it feels a bit like, well, the character design, a lot of character designs seem more DBZ like.
Yeah, a lot of things are heavily, not heavily, just slightly inspired by Dragon Ball Z nowadays.
Well, yeah, because Dragon Ball Z is like
Not that it's a
that
bad
one
thing or anything.
anime
Just saying
that
that, like,
everybody
it's
knows.
commenting.
So
But yeah, this game was a crowdfunded game and is actually done pretty well for itself.
So it's an indie game.
Yeah,
yep,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's like one of those. It's like I would call it a middle market game. So like because it's range $30.
That's a pretty good.
It
price.
looks, visually and stuff, it does look like it has a better production values than your typical
Yeah.
indie game.
Yeah, I
That's
think,
why
I
they-
think
it looks like-
it's literally because I do think it's because of the cell shaded look to it that does
Yeah.
help towards the visual aspect of the entire game, which makes it look so much more better than what you might expect from an indie title.
I don't think
Yeah.
we'll ever get a worse indie title than Mighty Number 9, in all honesty.
Well, technically, like all those really garbage Steam Greenlight games were indie. So, but if you're talking about like a
more
crowdfunded,
mainstream one.
like a crowdfunded sort of indie game, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
I think we'll always get some. We'll always get. I believe we actually already have one that's worse in terms of indie games. It's called No Man's Sky.
No, I think No Man's Sky. I would
Let's put
argue
it this
No Man's
way,
Sky
at
is
least-
better.
At least with Mighty Number 9, you actually feel like, yes, it's over. And it
But-
takes, and it doesn't take it doesn't take ages just to get to the center of the fucking universe.
Well, and
But-
also,
yeah, but I think-
also Mighty Number 9 at least have some positive qualities to it, and that
That
was
is
some
true.
excitement over it.
I'm gonna argue differently because I think from my experience, Mighty Number 9 is the thoroughly just unpleasant game to play. No Man's Sky, and I've not played it, but from what I understand, a lot of people kind of enjoyed it initially until they realized that was basically all there is. But I feel you could get more, generally speaking, more people will get more entertainment out of No Man's Sky. Obviously, not for playing it a long time, but like if they played it for just a couple hours and then stopped, it'd probably get more enjoyment out of the however couple hours MN9 is.
I could play
That's
for
me.
I could play for an hour and 59 and still enjoy it and still get my money back. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I feel like a game like No Man's Sky is really taught modern everyday gamers about like to not really get hyped for video games, since they're not really contrary
No
to
Man's
prior
Sky
belief, they're
and
not the
Mighty
second
Number
coming
9
of
do
Jesus Christ.
It's
I know,
it's
it's
about
I think we've got one problem though. What happened last year in E3?
What?
A certain game was announced from the PlayStation conference, and a crowdfunder was released for it.
Oh, you mean
Oh,
Shenmue 3?
Shenmue 3?
Yeah.
No, that was 2015. That was
was a few
2015,
years
not
ago.
2016.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. Anyway, that game's still gonna have a lot of hype towards it. So unless that game flops, there's still gonna be a hype towards game culture, and everyone's still gonna be boarding that hype train.
which
But the
I,
thing
I'm
is
gonna- I don't,
that
I don't.
the problem. Here's the thing: Shenmue 3 is a sequel to a game series that's a bit more nichey than most games.
I didn't do that.
nowadays, and even some of the games back
I
then,
think Daniel
because
needs to
it's
stop counting.
the guy who made Virtual Fighter, so it has that combat system, but it also has quick time events as a major game mechanic.
I just realized we're kind of getting off topic.
I just completely forgot what we were talking about
Sorry.
because I was thinking about bad
We're,
internet connection.
we're starting to talk about originally we were talking about the shyness.
Yeah.
Oh right, hype. That's right. Here's, and I don't actually. Okay, so it may not be a particularly rational thing, but I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with hype, because the fact is that people get hype.
I thought we were talking about the shyness, not hype.
Yeah, we'll get back to that in a second. But you gotta keep it. You gotta keep it reasonable. You gotta keep it at a realistic level. But shyness, I want to hear more about this game because I do want to play it.
I would definitely recommend. At this point, I definitely would say it's worth picking up, especially if it is on the Steam sale.
I think it is actually.
Well, then
I love how I
now's
just
the perfect
said that
opportunity.
to not get. I love how I just said like you shouldn't get hyped for video games, and yet I'm the worst offender of that for getting hyped for Doomfist for so long.
Yeah, and basically every other conference except for Ubisoft.
Shyness,
I
guys.
don't get it.
But yeah, right
Shyness.
now
I'm
it's
confused.
talk about
Did
this
Daniel
game.
just insult me?
40% off. So
Probably, but that's
Oh,
neither
well.
here nor there. This shyness game, no, but it looks like something that would come from like Bandai Namco. But it's kind of amazing that it's just
Bandai.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Relatively
it's
cheap
it has
indie game.
a interesting universe, and because it looks like it's very inspired by Treasure Planet. is literally that's the beginning of it, involving apparently the universe got separated there, but there's airships.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We've lost the Brit.
Oh no! Hey Rayquaza! What have you been playing?
What? Oh no.
Oh, jeez.
I want to hear. No, I want to hear about the story to Shyness. Like, what's the?
So basically, the lore is there's basically the planet got split up into little islands because of a conflict with the Celestials, and it starts out with the two young boys of one race, called the Wabi, and
Well,
it begins with
maybe don't go too into detail, but like just generally, what's it about?
yeah, but basically it's right. Basically, there's two groups of people, and they ended up, as far as I know, they end up meeting, and they're going to the same location, to the place called the Land of Life. One is a princess with a bodyguard of this, from this one tribe of people who lives in the forest, and the other group is these two young boys, where you have one young boy. One of them is kind of a cowardly type, who jumps ship because their ship ends up crashing in the woods, and the other one is the more adventurous, more main character, and he also has this weird spirit who's the reason why they're going to the Land of Life. But the thing is, the spirit only appears to him, so everybody else think he's insane. Kind of insane right now.
Like Hamlet.
Yeah.
It's like Hamlet.
Yeah, so basically they end up meeting through various circumstances and some funny moments. And that's as far as I know. But it seems like the princess is running away from an evil empire. Gaming trope number A428.
It's
Evil
fine.
empire. Yeah, but that's basically it. So, as far as I know.
Interesting.
Well, anyways,
Very interesting indeed.
back on
All right.
topic.
Rayquaza!
Maybe.
I've been playing 2 games. That I'll just go through really fast. The first one is Disgaea. With my constant concerns that Ys 8 is being localized by Nice America, I decided to buy Disgaea 1 and play it to see how the localization is, until I realized localization was actually done by Atlas back in the day, so it wouldn't really matter. So, and of course localizations before that game the dialogue was very good, while the dub was very bad. Well, it laughably bad, it wasn't terrible. Anyway, so this guy's a nice, fun strategy RPG that you spend about 65% of the game grinding and the other 25% actually doing story stuff. I had fun with it while I was playing through it. So luckily I had a lot of fun doing that. One thing I will mention about the game is that I beat the game's super boss a while ago, and then according to the research I did, the boss is even stronger form. And after spending about 20 minutes being the super boss's first form, I go back to it, find out that he's in his penguin form, and he's a penguin. He's in the penguin form because in this game there are these penguins called Prinnies that are literally just dead souls. That are just literally souls that are redeeming themselves through sin, and because he's like the ultimate lord of evil, he's a frickin' Prinny, and his stats are insane because he's 7 times stronger as a Prinny than he was back when he was alive. So,
What an unthreatening name. A Prinny?
A penguin?
like he was, like it's insane because I had to grind. I had to spend about a good day grinding just to fight him, and then I go back to see if his second form, and his second form, his stats are 7 times stronger than his original stats as before. They're all like before his stats were like in the late 200,000s, early 300,000s, and then I go back and they're all in the millions. And so I just decided to quit at that point and just go play Mass Effect. Speaking of Mass Effect, that's the second game I was playing.
Actually, quickly about Disgaea. Or not quickly, I don't know. I hear a lot about how there's like an artistry to grinding in this game. What's that all about? What's the deal with the
so
grinding?
Disgaea's grinding is interesting. So the main story, you don't have to the main story. The final boss of the main story is level 80. No, he's level 90. He's not that. So he's not. So it really depends whether or not you want to like go through post game. In order to beat the main game, you just have to grind to level 90. But once you get to level 90, once that happens, you can use a lot of the exploits that are in the game. Like for example, you can use the item world to change up levels. You can use a lot of different types of
There he is.
items, experience, or to raise the experience you can get. Because the max level in Disgaea is 9,999. But even when you get to that rank, you can still reclass yourself every single time in order to just continuously updating your stats until they're where you want to be. Which I'm going to have to do in order for me to beat the game's ultimate boss, which you can beat without transclassing once. It's just very, very fucking hard. So there is like an art of grinding in a sense, but it's not anything that's like really terrible. So that's not gonna work.
Okay. Fascinating.
All right, back to Mass Effect 1.
Okay, so Mass Effect 1. So of all the games I've been wanting to play over the years, Mass Effect's probably been the one Mass Effect's one that the game's like, oh hey, you need to play Oh hey Ryder, you gotta play Mass Effect. You gotta play Mass Effect. It's one of the best games ever. You gotta play the Mass Effect 2.
Do you want me to cut that out in editing?
I really don't care.
Okay.
Anyway, so due to that, it's just one of those. So I decided to play the Mass Effect trilogy. Damn it! So I decided to play the Mass Effect trilogy, and after I just died in it, I bought the Mass Effect trilogy on Origin because it's the only place I can get 3 on PC. And now that I'm actually playing it, the game's fun. It's enjoyable. I love the world building. I like the gameplay. It's a bit simple, but it's fine for a shooter.
I think it's more universe building than world building.
Yeah.
Very funny, very punny.
Well, galaxy building.
So with that being said and done, though, I do have a problem with a problem with the game, and that is the fact that all these worlds are boring as shit because it's.
Oh yeah, they apparently they fixed that in the sequels
Good.
a bit more. Yeah, but
Yep. More than a bit. Well, not Andromeda, but
Well, yeah.
ahead.
Andromeda is the only exception, but then again,
we don't speak of Mass Effect Andromeda here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You did.
Anyway, so with that in mind, so that's my only major problem with the game. Also, I don't really like the fact that characters mostly get development through conversations instead of actual story stuff. So that's a little annoying for me, but it's a Western RPG thing, which I find, and if I just change my aspect that way, it's something that I just get used to. Either way, I'm still enjoying the game, and I wouldn't have put in almost 18. I've almost put in 20 hours into it so far. Also, one last thing I find funny was that when I got the Mass Effect trilogy to begin with, on the back it says, "Oh, look at this, over 75 hours of gameplay spread across these 3 games," and the only thing that came to my head was, "Oh, that's cute." They're thinking 75 hours out of 3 games. That's cute.
yeah,
Like,
that is. It's like 3 games, 75 hours, and we're just looking at this and like laughing. It's like, son, I put over almost 100 hours into one game just a few months ago. So
I just find that funny. Besides that, I'm enjoying the game. I might go back to Disgaea eventually just to see if I can't take on that stupid Uber boss, that stupid Uber Prinny, because even though I really don't want to go around to do it, but there are other things in that game I haven't done yet. And until then, I'm just going to keep playing for Mass Effect and probably have to do a second playthrough of it so I can get all my choices ready for the next game, for Mass Effect 2. So, man, that's just what I've been playing. On to the next one.
All right, let's go with the June Knight.
Okay. Unfortunately, Caius is going to be slightly disappointed because I told him I was going to talk about this game, but I decided at the last minute I'm not going to talk about said game. Instead, I'm going to be talking about AM2R.
Well, I'm leaving. Bye.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. I'm just leaving it at this.
Okay. I thought that would be Daniel saying that, not to anyone else.
No. 2D Metroid, good. 3D,
It's actually the
bad.
opposite for Daniel.
Excuse
The
me.
opposite for Daniel. Remember, he loves Other M.
Well, anyways, so AM2R I have been playing just recently because I found out one of my friends actually like does a voice in the game, so I decided to go look back on it for a little bit because I do actually have AM2R on my computer, the full version of it, and when I was playing, and it was actually like I knew it was good, but at the same time it was pretty hard because I can't really say like it's the game's fault because I'm just not good at 2D platformers in general.
Well, the thing is that it was designed for veterans of the Metroid games in general. So
yeah, but even then,
it wasn't newbie friendly. So
I don't know. I kind of feel like it is because this is technically my first 2D Metroid game. But granted, I'm playing on easy mode, so I have no idea how hard or normal mode obviously hard mode's gonna be hard because it's called hard mode. But for some reason, easy mode just feels like it's a pretty good transition. I mean, even though there are some parts of the game where I just don't really like understand, like, oh hey, you can break that wall with the morph ball bomb. Like, oh, I actually didn't know that until I just kind of looked it up.
Oh, the game doesn't visually tell me.
It's not really the game's fault. It actually does visually tell me, but I just don't like know. Kind of like I don't really know like the hint they're really going for. Like it's there, but I just don't like. It hasn't clicked yet, I guess, kind of. But I feel like a lot of the platforming in the game is really good. Oh, the music I really love. I love like the track that plays whenever you land on SR38, and it's just like do 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 do. It's really, it feels very Metroid Prime with this music, and it really makes me like that because I'm a huge fan of the Metroid Prime games, except 2. 2 is bleh. So I actually still haven't finished Metroid Prime 2. I might not ever. Oh well, anyways. But there's also like some really fun parts where I just like I'm starting to get the hang of using the morph ball jump, which is something I thought like I could never get figured out, but then I just like kept trying at it, and then all of a sudden, bam! I'm already able to do it. So far, hunting the Metroids themselves, they're pretty challenging, but I don't feel like they're sponges. They're like sponge bosses too much. I don't feel like they're too. So far, anyway, they're not too tanky, but I'm very early in the game, so I've only taken out like about
more annoying than challenging to play.
I'd say I've only taken out at least, let's say 5 to 10 Metroids. They haven't evolved yet or anything, because I do know that the Metroids do evolve as you go deeper into the planet. But I'll just say that they're still like in the early evolution phase. But overall, like, yeah, I think it's pretty good. I also like how, like, there's lava in the game, and it's not insta-kill. Thank goodness. And spikes aren't insta-kill. I don't know how that works in Mega Man. I mean, Sonic can do it, so why can't Mega Man? Well, then again, that's a different franchise, but whatever. Different rules. But, yeah, AM2R, I just feel like it's really good, and I feel like, even though like we are getting like the official Metroid 2 remake, I kind of feel like we could just have both if we really wanted it. Which not to say which I'm not going to act like, oh, it is not as good as I'm not going to compare like the new Metroid 2 remake to AM2R, because that's not really fair, because it's clearly a different style of Metroid, it's more like a 2D kind of other M, if you ask, from what I've seen.
But it's
fun. It looks fun.
I think that's a fair comparison.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll have to wait till it comes out to see.
Here's the thing. So the another AM2R was designed to be more like the classic Metroidvania formula. So it includes both the positives and negatives. With the negatives being it doesn't kind of really evolve the formula a bit to be more encompassing to new players, while this one looks like they're trying to evolve this formula a bit. They're adding the mechanic from Other M, where you see Samus being awesome, like being a total BA, that everybody wants her to be, and so showing her.
Looking at you, Other
grabbing-
M.
Well, yeah, that's one of the few positive things people have about Other M. Like, it shows Samus being awesome.
When the game
action.
wants you to. But anyways, back on topic.
I'm talking about the gameplay, most of the gameplay. Okay, we're
Sorry.
not talking
Okay.
about anything else with the story. And so I think this one, this Metroid 2 remake, I think will be, in my opinion, a bit more better because it's a bit more thoughtful of new players coming in, because it has been a while since people have got a more traditional Metroid game.
I mean, that's fine and everything, but I kind of don't agree with part of that because, like, I just, what is it? The it's clearly like AM2R is like clearly like designed for like its own audience, and it's not like it's not necessarily to say like AM2R is bad. I think AM2R, as I already said, AM2R is a really, really, really good game. I mean, I kind of don't really mind if it doesn't necessarily like bring any new like mechanics to the 2D Metroid style formula, but like a lot of like from what I've seen, a lot of 2D Metroid's gameplay mechanics have aged pretty well from what I've seen. I mean, if we're comparing, let's just be honest though. Like, if we're really comparing it to like if we actually try to compare it to the original Metroid 2, both games, people would probably rather play those two games than the original version because it's. Well, there's no map function. There's no map function in that version.
Well,
so,
the original game was just like
yeah.
it was only good at its time, but like, in order to make a more traditional Metroid game in a console, the handheld that wasn't very designed well for its gameplay,
yeah,
that it has a lot of flaws in it. So,
but other than that, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more of AM2R. And yes, I'm playing on easy mode. Shut up, I have no shame.
all right,
But anyways.
is that it?
I could talk a little bit about Darksiders 2. Because I only play like
One game per person.
One game.
Darn
because
it.
I'm gonna take over and you're gonna jump into the conversation because I'm talking about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Ooh.
Okay.
All
Come on.
right.
All right, Daniel. Tell us about Horizon Zero Dawn. Tell us about how it hasn't aged well, and about how it's
The game only
been outdated.
Caius, the game's been only out for a few months. That's not a fair argument.
I know.
I know. I'm,
the joke.
Here's the thing. I'm on two minds on this one.
I got the minds. One mind is like, oh, it's a good game, but the other mind's like, ah, it's popular, so I can't like it.
Yeah, well, I
That's
I always have to
why,
fight that a lot, okay? I always have to fight the inner contrarian in me. But, here's the thing. I love the way they're doing the world building in the game. The first hours of the game were very awesome. Like, you seeing this world for the first time, seeing the way the culture is on that, and feeling a bit more like a fantasy game, but it's in a sci-fi setting there.
Wow, you love Other M
And
that
then
much.
when you get...
Oh my gosh.
We do not
I'm
speak
not-
of that atrocity. Even though we
Going
just
to
did
my head
earlier,
through a
a few
wall.
minutes ago.
Let the man talk.
But once we
Let him
get
say
to
what he said.
the open world aspects to it, it does...
Take a nosedive.
It's not really a nosedive. It's more of like, if this game was released earlier, like before open world became a popular genre, I wouldn't be so critical of it. Let's just say that.
That I
But
think this is very.
because it borrows heavily from the mold of open world games. Like, there's plenty of errand side quests, like side quests that are just bore fests. It borrows the towers. It borrows uncharming climbing mechanics, except it also has jumping. The way you can actually avoid that by jumping in the environment, which is cool. I like that part, where it doesn't have to revolve around uncharted climbing.
So you're saying that? So are you saying that because it borrows the whole tower climb, the whole tower climbing aspect.
No, it's
of
not
other...
just that. No, it's not just that. It also borrows heavily from stealth stuff and action games. It borrows in a creative way. It explains it pretty well about how they incorporate the Arkham Knight vision in the game. And
There's an Arkham Knight vision to the game. That's kind of odd. I never actually.
Yes.
I don't. I'm curious. Like, how does that work?
Oh, it's basically it's a mode where you can select and you can see through every wall and you see all the enemies and all the creatures, all the information.
That was a thing in Arkham Knight? I don't remember that, actually.
It's like Bat Vision.
It's the detective mode.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't in Arkham Knight exclusively. That was in the other.
Well,
Batman
it's in
Arkham
every
games.
Arkham game. I was thinking of like the Arkham games. It started from there, and basically every open world now borrows heavily from it.
Really tells you how great Arkham Knight is that I can't barely even remember a single thing from it.
I agree.
So, Danny, do you think maybe you're like is it a lack of enthusiasm, and is that like maybe as a result of you just feel kind of burnt out on open world games at this point? Is that sort of it?
Yeah,
because I get that completely.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I think it's just me. It's just like I'm so burnt out of seeing games like open world. Like I'm not excited for Shadow of War game. For one thing, I thought Shadow Mortar should have been a single experience, and honestly, should have been.
But they're adding so much more to that game. It looks amazing. I'm kind of shocked actually.
But it looks more. It's becoming more. It's looking like the same thing except on bigger scale. But yeah. I don't.
That can be fine if you have some it's basically what Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2 are. But that's a really interesting story and great characters. So
Persona 3 and 4.
Shadow Mortar did not have that.
Persona 3 and 4 also kind of do that, like where Persona 4 adds more bells and whistles to the game.
No,
but they all had different. But all the Persona games have new and interesting characters, good stories, and different themes, and very different aesthetics,
and very different tone way they.
You got punk, rock, and jazz. Yeah, but Shadow Mortar doesn't really have that. The story's very weak. And I will also say that I think that's, as much as I love the world, I think for me, Horizon, the biggest turnoff was the fact that I think it's a really, really good game, but the weakest part was I did not like the story, and I didn't really care much for the characters either.
Yeah, there's some elements that I love about the game, and I just feel like the hunting aspect of it was not good. I felt like I was never good at the making traps, gathering the animal, gathering the mechanical beast to go into my trap, because it seems like the AI, once they see you, and once you want to spring their trap by having you as the bait, it just jumps over all your traps, and relying on other tactics that you keep using over and over again, which kind of annoys me a bit. So I am on two minds of it. It's something I enjoy. Okay, here's the thing. Mechanically speaking, very objective. Is it fun to play? Yes, it's fun to play, and it's mechanically sound. There's not really much errors in it. This world is so great in it. But I think the biggest problem in the game is not its fault. It's not the game's fault. My biggest problem, that it's just released in a time when open world is the new normal. It's the new shooter. Back in the late 2000s, it was, shooter. Now it's open world. And at this point, I'm kind of burnt out on it. I want more linear experiences on there. And just a minor thing, just one minor complaint, is just the way you have the dialogue choices. I just think it's your character. Pick the choice that the character would pick, not leave it to the player on that.
I don't mind that necessarily, because a lot of it is used for basically just to ask questions about the world and stuff. It doesn't actually change.
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where you have a decision tree.
Oh, right.
Where you give either.
They don't change anything.
Yeah, where you either do a smart decision, a aggressive decision, or a compassionate decision. And
I'll agree with that. As I'll actually agree with you on that because I think that's another problem. Is I didn't really care much for the main character, and I think that was probably part of it is that she didn't have a distinct personality because you have those branching options.
yeah, like for example, this is going to be a minor spoiler alert. So there's a sequence where you find out that this evil cult is resurrecting these ancient machines called the Corruptors, and they basically had a guy who you saw at the beginning who basically led a bunch of kids the main character's age getting killed.
Okay, just be very careful because you're actually getting into some really deep spoiler territory there. You haven't got there yet. But...
Right. You
Are we
do
gonna
have
have
a
to censor his spoilers?
Well,
I will if
the
or I
decision,
may just put up
I'm
a warning.
just telling. Basically, you were given two options: kill him or spare him. You do have a choice there. That's up to the player. I would have liked it if the developers had Aloy make that choice, whether to kill the guy or spare him, because that would actually add depth to her character. Does she care about her tribe enough tribe's honor to give proper justice to the guy by killing him, or is she not really much for her tribe's ideals because she's an outcast and more on sparing him and more about compassion? I would have actually liked that if it was up to her, not up to the player.
I think there'd be one way. I think there would be one way of making that choice seem much more of a character thing. If they made it so, depending on what choices you made up to this point, will make the decision for you.
That's true. That could be an interesting way of doing it. Another way I could see is maybe similar to how they do with Geralt and Witcher, is have it where both are like legitimate choices that she could make, like she's torn between them, and then the player ultimately decides what decision she makes, and that maybe leads to different endings or something. But the point is that the decision needs to feel like like either decision is a legitimate action that she would take. But it's hard to tell, again, because she doesn't really have a very clear character, and she seems to be very inconsistent with a lot of the stuff she does.
And I think this is all because they had all the moments where you could see more of her personality up to the player, not up to the writer. At the beginning, when she was a young kid, she was being thrown by a rock. She could choose to either throw the rock at the guy, take it, or throw a rock into the guy's hand. Like that. You have if the writers would have picked their choice, they could have defined the character like, okay, she chose to throw the rock at the boy's hand. The mean got boy's hands to show that she's good and she's...
But she's, like, much more calculating, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but no, yeah, I actually fully agree. I think that's a very good point. That's something I didn't even think about until now. That's probably why I didn't like her character very much.
Yeah,
this is what I'll add to this. Well, I do think that the idea of what you just said would be a good idea. At the same time, here's what I think. In the early hours of the game, you could actually create how the character acts through the rest of the world. So as they're growing, through the sequences of Aloy growing up, you could basically, depending on certain choices that you make, will depend on what kind of person she becomes.
Okay, so are you saying like you make that? Maybe you say at the beginning you made that choice early on, and that would basically you'd end up with three, not completely different, but three different characters essentially.
Alterations.
Yeah, but it's consistent throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, for example, you get instead of you have series of choices at the beginning to represent Aloy's childhood, just pick the highlighted moments
And her upbringing.
and her upbringing.
One thing
I think that could really work, actually.
One way I could compare it to basically is Fallout 3's opening. Depending on what choices you make through your childhood will choose what kind of stats your character has when you actually go to the main part of the game. It kind of depends on that. Would kind of choose how the character will be basically your basic character stats and what it's best with at the start, and then you can just go from there. That's the closest I could basically bring to it, really.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just like some way to give the main character more, give the writers more power. That's what, because
I mean, I can understand not wanting to take all the players' agency away from the game.
yeah,
So, and also doing what I did suggest does actually make people think, oh, I can make the decisions of the game. This is great. And then all of a sudden, after the childhood years, you get if you don't get any more scenes where you actually the player gets to choose, it could just take the player out of it. Because let's say for example that you got to this point and you hear that one friend instead of choosing to kill this person, the character Aloy spared him, and then went and brought him to a tribe to be tried for, and then all of a sudden you do it, and then you just kill that person on the spot.
Yeah.
Depending on how the way your friend could explain it, you could think, "Oh, I have a choice right here."
Mm-hmm.
And
the interesting thing is that those would both be like good way, because I say if this character needs to be removed from the story for the story to continue on, those are both good ways of like basically removing the character from that character from the story, but still showing, her making two clearly different decisions. So yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah. That's basically my opinion on Horizon Zero Dawn. It's like, it's a very good game. If you're all about solid game design, it's a perfect game for you. If you want like me, who likes not only good game design, but also something refreshing, like something unique that makes this game stand out amongst the rest, you will probably be torn about it.
Well, Dan, if you're looking for a linear game experience, I know exactly what you should be looking for. Final Fantasy
What?
13.
No, I do not like that game.
Ew.
Well, you want a more linear experience. There you go.
That's too linear and too boring with horrible characters.
I think
Played Persona 5 already, then.
I think Cat Icarus summed it up pretty well when he mentioned how if the Resident Evil remake was just one corridor, and that's practically what the beginning hours of Resident Evil 0 are, and then he's like kind of like this, which was footage of Final Fantasy 13.
all I can say to that is I think JonTron beat him to that joke. Final Hallway 13.
See, here's the funny thing, though. Basically, all the Final Fantasy games up to that point, not all of them, but most of the old ones are fairly linear.
Yeah.
6, 7, and like they have the open world, or not the open world, the overworld, so they kind of trick you into thinking it's open, but it's really not. You can backtrack a bit, but that's about it. So
They give you a chance to just go back to other areas, which makes it think.
Yeah, but there's
you think, oh, I could go back to these places and grind a bit before going back to where I need to be.
Yeah, well, you can grind it in the other one as well, but it's a bit
Not really with 13.
works a bit differently. The linearity in 13, I think, is the least of its problems.
Well,
and I don't think the
anyway-
game's terrible, but
Yeah. So anyway, before we get to the topic, Caius, what game have you been playing?
Well, I've not been playing much. I have played.
Dare you?
Actually, see, I've been playing a lot, just of a small number of games. First one, Oculus Beat. Already did a review on. Not a good game.
That's what I saw. You you weren't very fond of it.
No, it was pretty.
You were quite
pretty
restrained about how I would do it.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad game, especially for a follow up to Oculus Trip.
Well, Oculus Trip wasn't a
Not
good
well
game
done.
either. So
See, Oculus Trip was
It has its redemptions.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I don't know if I'd call it good traditionally, but it's an entertaining game. It's fun to play, and it's fun to, play through and see where it goes. Fire Emblem Echoes. We talked at length about this before, but I'm
Which
also
we didn't
gotta-
record.
We didn't record, unfortunately, but I do have an
You're
extensive
you're
review
welcome.
being written on it. An extensive review being written on it, so I will just sum up my thoughts here. Insofar that I feel the people who are miss the old Fire Emblem style and aren't fond of Awakening and Fates will probably like this one a lot. It's, I think, the second best one on the 3DS. It has a lot of improvements over on the Fire Emblem formula. I don't know how many of those are pulled from the original Gaiden, but a lot of things that I like that are changed, and a lot of things that are changed that I think are very bad. But it is a really good game, and I do recommend.
Have you seen that one level like where it's literally just like this very linear map design?
Which one?
I don't know. I know
I
it's
probably
later on in the
have.
game, but I know like from what I've seen, a lot of people don't like that chapter.
I think I might
Well,
know
not-
which one it
well, not
is.
really
Several
chapter.
chapters,
More like a
several
level.
chapters and maps, especially towards the end of the game, get very, very, very frustrating.
Yep.
Specifically with certain enemies they throw at you. One specific enemy.
Oh, it's gonna be
is like the boss of many levels near the end, and not he, but that particular type of enemy is especially frustrating. And I've heard some people say they were tempted to just quit the game because of it.
Ooh,
I did not. I soldiers through.
I'm gonna hate it.
and I'm right. I'm right
sorry.
at the end of the game. I'm on the last map, but I haven't beaten it yet. So.
Oh, I'm gonna hate that because I'm playing on permadeath.
Oh, you poor man.
Yep.
You idiot.
All right.
Idiot!
So,
How dare you call me an idiot? I'm just kidding.
So the last game that I'll talk about is one that I'm sure none of you, except for maybe Ryder, would care about. I'm gonna try really hard to pronounce this correctly. Utaware. I can't even try. UTAWAREUERUM.
Type it in the Skype chat so we can actually just see it.
We
Is
can
it
just
some-
spend the whole time trying to figure out how to pronounce this.
We'll just call it the game that Kaios can't pronounce. The video
Utareyu
game.
Mano, I think.
Italia
Mask of-
Romano, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and the
What
subtitle is
the
Mask of.
flip?
The subtitle
Ita Werewolf
is
Mono.
Utawara-
Mask of Deception.
Mono.
So what this is, it's just essentially a medieval Japanese visual novel with some Final Fantasy Tactics style SRPG elements thrown in. It is predominantly a visual novel, though, in a sort of medieval Japanese setting.
Oh.
As a result, there's not a lot I can talk about it. It's not that kind of visual novel, Daniel. It does have a bit of fan servicey moments.
No, but it's a
But-
visual novel.
But it is, although it's very slow paced, I am enjoying it. It's much. This is just not a lot for me to say though, because it's like the type of game if you like, I guess, fantasy visual novels, especially with like some SRPG elements, you would probably enjoy this. It's very interesting. It's got a fairly interesting world. It's moving at a slow pace, but that gives a lot of time for developing characters and stuff. I'm not a big fan of the art style, like the character designs, but that's a moot point. So that's going. I'm enjoying that. It's just not a lot for me to say.
What I'm looking at this right now. Like what makes you like not really like the art style out of curiosity?
It just looks very well, the character designs specifically, they're very much of an anime style I don't care for. Particularly, I think, but the particular part is the hair and the eyes.
Really, the
where
hair?
the hair is just kind of very. It's like all over the place, and the eyes, especially on the female characters, are like bug eyes. They take up half the face, that sort of thing.
Oh, I actually,
and
honestly,
it's-
I thought it might have been the ears because they look so like not like ears.
Well, because the ears are animal ears, and that's fine because that's part of the plot.
Oh, okay.
But I'm enjoying that as well enough. It's not so far. I don't think it's super remarkable, but it's definitely something I would recommend for anyone who enjoys that type of game. And And that's kind of it. Like, I've been thinking a lot about games, but not been playing many of them. I played a little bit of Dark Rose Valkyrie. I did not like the game. Like, I found myself mildly interested in the plot and characters, but I did not enjoy the gameplay at all. It's very convoluted and does a terrible job of explaining anything to you, so I was like, screw it, and I quit. Send it back. I know tonight, they are releasing Fate Grand Order on the Android. I'm looking forward to playing that a lot, because I love the Fate series. And let me pull up my GameFly. I know I just got God Wars in the mail, which is sort of Final Fantasy Tactics. Also medieval Japanese setting, but it's not a visual novel. It's like Final Fantasy Tactics. And Ever Oasis, which is on the 3DS. That'll be coming soon as well. So maybe next time we record.
The only thing I know about that game...
before we go on to the main topic, I just want to do one quick mention of another thing I've been playing.
Ooh!
and
you
Ryder,
don't forget,
that.
Tokyo Xanadu.
If everyone else could talk
Tokyo
about,
Xanadu
like...
comes out in 5 days.
Wait, what about Ryder?
Wait a minute.
Tokyo Xanadu
for
comes out in 5
PSP,
days.
not for PS4.
I hope you're hyped.
For PS Vita,
For
but
PS
the problem is
Vita.
that the Vita version doesn't have any
Yeah.
of the stuff that the PS4 version has. So,
I know. That means I got to play it again and have more stuff. I'm gonna play it probably twice. I don't know. No, if you're gonna wait for the PS4 one,
it's
then
only 2 months. I can wait.
okay. All right.
Just no spoilers from you.
Now
I
then,
won't.
from talking about things that we've been playing and mostly enjoying, let's talk about something that we want to absolutely... that makes us so salty or so angry that we want to basically throw our controllers against the wall. I am talking about frustrating bosses.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something else. Anyways, what about... So, yeah, first...
Where's the salt?
It...
All right, who wants to drink the
will.
salt first?
Why would you drink salt? That is...
That
I've
sounds
done-
thoroughly
I've done-
unhealthy.
Yeah.
No,
And disgusting.
no, you give me that salt. I'm putting it on my fish and chips right now because I'm starting this off with arms.
Now has this? Okay, I was
Oh,
gonna ask if there's
no,
anything that
Yeah,
prompted
hold
this.
Arms.
So- Did
Yeah.
I just
No,
say...
it's not that.
Are we
theme
done
song,
with
though.
the
That theme
musical?
song.
I love
Curtis.
that theme song. I'm sorry, it's so
That
catchy.
theme song is great. That theme song's great.
Yes, the theme song is great, but oh boy, this boss is a nightmare.
Are you fighting a nightmare?
Allow me to talk to you about Headlock. Hedlok.
That's like one of the worst naming conventions ever.
Yeah, let's put it this way.
There's
Not
a
many of
sea
the
of
character
lock.
names are kind of creative.
What?
Like there's a cop and his dog called Bite and Bark, and
Those are actually one of my favorite
That-
designs from that game. They look cool.
yeah,
Man,
the
who
designs.
named
But
him?
let's
Citizen Dawn?
no Bite and Bark.
Well, it's better
Yeah, I
than
know.
Bit and Bite
Citizen Dawn.
from Mega Man X3.
Anyway, so
Beck and Cole.
I
from that
I
Witcher
decided to
Monday.
play. I just basically decided I'd go through the Grand Prix. First time I saw that I did it on level 2. I saw that there was a 11th round. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I decided I'd play with Bite and Bark on level 4 difficulty. You know, middle ground. Try and test myself a bit more. Yeah, it was definitely testing, but it was still enjoyable, and it was just like, keep going, I'll do this. And then this floating head comes down and attaches himself to the final fighter. And now I'm dealing with a 6-armed monster that basically is so tough, even Iron Man is basically
So you're
putty.
playing Asura.
Asura.
No.
I'm curious, actually. Are you playing it with the Pro Controller or motion controls?
I've tried playing with motion controls. It just doesn't work for me personally.
Oh, okay.
But I've been playing with the Pro controller
Why does that cost $70?
because it's probably got a lot of expensive items. It's probably got a lot of expensive technical stuff in there. We don't know. We don't
Maybe
know
because of the HD Rumble!
Why?
You want to know why, Curtis?
Because...
Because dummies like you will buy it anyway.
Shut up, Caius!
I think you mean dummies like Rhino that decided to buy one.
Dummy's like, Rhino will buy it anyway. I should have said,
Could you please explain why Headlock is such terrible, other than 6 arms? Explain why.
Okay.
Oh, don't worry about spoilers
First of all-
because the game barely has any plot. So
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to worry about spoilers. Let's start off with this. Starting off in the game, you have during the Grand Prix, you have to worry about items. Some will be helpful, which will be like area effect, healing, or meter boosters. So whilst you're in the small area, you get healed 50 hit points, or your meter builds so whilst you're in there faster. Like every half second it will boost up, and every second you get 50 health back. Unfortunately, when it gets to level 4 difficulty, the enemies will try and make sure you stay out of that area at all costs. And so you got to try and fight. Not only do you have to try and fight within a confined area because you want to try and get that benefit as well in that small area, you've got to basically try and make sure you're not being hit, but you're actually managing to knock them out of the area so they don't get the benefits as well. Now, Headlock, in case I haven't already said, he's got 6 arms. You have 2. And Headlock uses the same ability as the character that you have to fight in the round before. And from what I've seen, he'll have the same abilities as whatever enemy, whatever character he's basically attached to, because he's also a 3v1 and party mode boss. So yes, even actual players can use this character.
Ew.
So he's got twice as much health as you to begin with. And he deals a bit. His grab does 200 damage each time he grabs you, and he has an ultimate that basically, if you do not block, can deal over 400 damage, which pretty much wipes half your health bar out, unless you either block, in which case it does, I believe, about 75 hit points, which is still a lot, or you dodge it completely. So
And I'm guessing the margin for error is quite small.
it feels more like luck if you're going to beat him.
Oh yeah, and he showed me some footage on it. If you use your ultimate, guess how much health it takes off? Only a third of his health bar.
And I sent you footage of the level 7. I'm only doing level 4. And you saw how aggressive he was.
Yeah.
He is that aggressive in level 4.
Oh man. So you better be a champion to beat him.
Thematic, I guess.
It's just like, you've got to somehow manage to defeat an already tough opponent, because he can charge himself up for a second to make sure his arms have their abilities at all times until he gets knocked down. And at a core of when he has a core of health left, he has basically buffed up, so he's more resistant to not flinching from damage, as well as his arms are fully charged at all times. So yeah, great. This is going to alienate your player base. This is going to make people want to carry on playing your game. Especially since the only way you can get ranked mode is if you beat this guy.
Oh.
Yeah, so unlike in Splatoon, where you had to reach a certain level before you could go into rank, you have to beat this guy.
You actually had to do an accomplishment.
This isn't like having a line that you had to cross. This is like having to punch through a brick wall that punches back.
And then you will get your face punched even more by the other players.
Even so, it's just like, how is this fair?
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright.
not.
Alright, let's go. I'll go next. Speaking of fighting game bosses, let's talk about Skullgirls!
Should we?
Yes. Daniel, tell us about the Skullgirls.
Yeah. The final boss in Skullgirls, Marie.
Oh, wait, whoa, okay. Okay. Spoiler warning for You know what? I'm gonna throw up a general spoiler warning, over this whole section. Anyone who doesn't care about spoilers, unless it's someone in this podcast, we're not gonna warn you about spoilers. We're just gonna talk about stuff because.
I'm gonna bow up for about 5 minutes.
Or Daniel can just keep it as spoiler-free as possible.
Well, basically,
Or both, I don't care.
It's like an epitome of unfair fighting game bosses. Like, she can. It's been a long time since I remember, but I remember she was very pain in the butt. She has a lot of zombie minions, of every variety, including Nazis, zombies, and that has good projectile range. Projectile range. She can summon skeletons at you in the long distances. So range game.
And she has 3 forms.
Oh yeah, 3 forms. 3 forms, standard fighting game boss, final boss stuff, and each of her forms is kind of cheap in its own way. But basically what happens is that, so the first one is more about her summoning her minions to do the damage for you. You go up close to her and beat her up on that one. If you go through that, you gain a little bit of health, and she goes into her second form. In her second form, it's all about throwing, like, magical attacks, skeleton things all over, and also she would punish you if you get close to her. So that's fun. And then, her final form, she combines the two. And, let's just say it's an accomplishment if you survive all this enough to beat the crap out of her.
I will say, though, she is, out of any kind of, like, final boss, she is one of those kind of characters you do feel sorry for that she is in this situation. You do feel sorry that she is who she is.
Okay, again, this is marching a bit too close.
I'm not going to say much about that.
Yeah.
But
okay.
If you've played Skullgirls and you've gone through if you've gone through the campaigns of any of the characters, you can understand what I mean by that.
Yeah. All right. So let's go with the
Oh,
Jujutsu
good. I can
Knight.
actually some time.
All right. Well, contrary to what I was talking about with some of the other members of the pub previously on this topic, I am going to talk about someone else. A boss that has plagued my childhood for many years. A boss.
I didn't realize that Bowser was that hard in Mario Brothers.
I actually never played.
Hey,
I didn't play
Or
Mario.
Sigma.
I didn't-
Sigma must have been giving you a hard time.
I didn't play Mario as a kid, and I didn't play Mega Man until like possibly like middle school slash like early high school. But this is a boss that is pretty infamous among the community, as many people consider it one of the worst, probably the worst boss in the whole game.
I have this much difficulty of going
and is-
overboard.
And is made even worse and as an post game where you have to fight a more powerful version of that boss, but to be fair, it's optional, but it's still even worse. And it's a boss that begins with famous 3 words: dance, water, dance.
Do we-
Demix.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Damn
It's
it.
not that hard.
Yeah, that's kind of a
And not
painful
even on
one.
account of. I mean, I guess it's a hard one too, but just it's so obnoxious.
I hate this boss. I absolutely despise it.
Yeah,
You only have a certain amount of time to be.
Oh, I
actually
forgot
good
one
to,
too from the same game.
survive his. You have to basically destroy a certain amount of water clones in a time limit before you can actually do damage
Actually-
against him.
And that's the first
And if
problem.
you fail, you
It's
die.
a time limit. And it's not good. You never have enough time to kill the water clones. Especially in the optional in the data battles as it's called, where like you hear Dance Water Dance so many times over after you defeat one army of water clones, you do it over and
Do not
over
pull a John
and
Scor-
over
John Scorcher.
and
Swear to
over.
God.
Sorry, I'm doing it anyway. And over and over and over and over
you're
and
not.
over and over until you just
Oh my
die.
Gosh.
You know, you could with I
Good.
actually.
I almost pressed the
You
button.
know,
on
here's
ya.
the thing. I've actually have all the data battles that I've actually had to go through in my most recent playthrough of KH2. Demix was actually the first one I beat. Also because I just when I fought him in the main story, I just entered the battle as Wisdom form, and I just wrecked everything. And that I just killed him before he could screw me over. And then with his data form, I just spam Wisdom form and I beat him in 3 tries. So sure, and note this was on critical, so it wasn't like I was on a lower difficulty.
I was at level 99 when I tried to defeat the Data Dimix. I still died so many times, and that was the last one. That was the last data battle I had to fight because it was the
Oh,
worst.
yeah, I had a hard time with Alden.
Yes.
Let's be honest here. You usually want to make sure that the worst one is the first one you
The
face.
data battles are hard enough as they
Yeah,
are.
that's why I fought Demix first.
They all have Sephiroth levels of HP. It's
Well,
crazy.
technically more.
Oh my god.
Well, are we talking about Sephiroth?
Oh,
levels of hit-
speaking of obnoxious bosses, remember that Final Fantasy 12
Oh.
Remaster is coming out pretty soon. That's a pretty
Oh,
infamous one.
that one.
Oh wait, there's that other secret boss that's coming out.
Yeah,
from
the one's
there
supposed
as
to be even
well.
stronger than Yasmat.
That's gonna have even more health.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
I
god.
actually speaking of that, I just love when I was at the Final Fantasy 12 panel at PAX, where they're like, "Hey guys, you remember that boss Yasmat from Final Fantasy 12? Yeah, you notice how you fight him in like level 97 of this Pit of 100 Trials thing we're doing? Yeah, that means there's even a harder boss than Yasmat in this game. Have fun." Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Prepare to get rid of.
You could make an entire JRPG just about fighting Yzmat.
they d-
Yeah. I mean, they kind of did. It was called Trillion, and it was kind of bad, but it wasn't about Yzmat, but it was about a boss who had 1 trillion hit points. And the entire game is just trying to defeat this boss. So.
All right.
Speaking, by the way, on the topic of well, actually, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, Rayquaza goes next on one crap boss.
Oh
Bullcrap boss.
God. So I'm actually going to go to the East franchise because, while those games are some of my favorite bosses in gaming, they also some of my least favorite bosses in gaming. I'm just trying to figure out which one I want to pick.
We're gonna pick multiples, okay?
Okay,
Like
so, alright, starting off with Yeast Origin. The game's second major boss is this centipede-like fucker, where pretty much in order to beat him, you have to destroy the shell on his back. So pretty much, first part of the battle, you're in this cylinder-type room where it's pretty much a circle and you have a huge pillar in the middle, and he just spends the first part of the battle just on this pillar, going back and forth like a centipede does, and he launches thunderbolts at you from above that you have to dodge. Then eventually he'll come down. And you jump on his back. No cage jokes, I swear to God. And then
Get up on the Hydra's
okay,
back!
yeah, I run to that one. Anyway, so eventually, so what happens after that? Sorry, that was.
You kicked me out of the pub?
Yeah, Kai.
Yep.
Kai
Yes, I would have done it to you earlier.
Yeah, Dan.
No, go back.
Yes. Yeah.
No,
Dan,
no
stop
kicking. No more
people.
kicking. No more
Anyways,
kicking.
So what happened was, so with this boss, I go on the back of it and I have to cut off its shell piece by piece. The problem is though, once a part of the shell is destroyed, underneath it is this geyser that launches eggs that explode. Now, by the way, this is a small area, and the more shells you go off, the more geysers that appear. There are 12 fucking segments on this fucking centipede. So at the most, I'm gonna have to deal with 12 geysers just shooting eggs every fucking second, and the entire area is just filled with eggs that explode. These are AoE type fuckers. So there's a nice bubble of shit coming from them. Now, once you destroy enough shells, instead of him just running around on the floor, he turns into a circle. He decides, okay, I'm gonna connect my head with my tail into a loop type thing and just run around the battlefield. I'm just completely invincible during it. And at this point, with the strategy I follow with this boss, because you have to fight him 3 times for each character. At his head. The last pieces on his head, which you can only damage once all the other shell parts are destroyed. And at that point, he's going to do this loop thing, and now I got to attack it. And then at that point, it's just so hard, and I have to get on while he's on his loop and attack the head, but it takes like so much longer than all the other shells pieces do. And while he's looping around, he's just shitting out eggs from his back, and it's just a pain in the ass. And I fucking hate that boss. Also, you fight him in Yeast 1, and he's so much easier. Because literally all you're doing is just attack, 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 and it's just, fuck you.
Alright, Caius, you're next.
Keep that in mind when I play these. Bad bosses. Well, I mean, the original Rayman game, as much as I like it, has some pretty bad ones.
I'm guessing you're going to be talking about Space Mama then?
No, I won't be going into detail. Yeah, Space Mama, the I forget his name, Mr. Scorpion, I think it's called.
Didn't know
I don't really like the final. I don't like Mr. Dark's final bosses either. But as far as as far as a really bad one, and we gave spoiler warnings. The final boss, a lot of bad final bosses, but the Final Fantasy X.
I already know it's
particularly care about spoilers.
Nope.
Ryan?
I've played it. I finished it. I don't care.
Okay.
It's amazing.
The final boss of Final Fantasy X, I think, is probably the worst
even
final
worse
boss
than
ever.
13's.
The one where
The beetle. So
the very, very final boss.
where the whole game is built up around this basically cult-like world religion that's basically been manipulating its populace, and there's it's one of the few games where you have basically an evil deity as the main antagonist, but doesn't just come out of nowhere, is actually properly built up as the antagonist. And then finally the evil deity finally shows up at the end, and it's just like a little beetle. Just like this giant beetle. It's giant for a beetle, but it's basically like the size of a guy's head, and that's the final boss. Worse, it is outside of glitching the game, like fighting or modding the game or something. It's actually impossible to lose to it, unless you try to kill yourself, because the way the boss is programmed is that basically it's programmed is that none of your characters' HP can drop to 0
because they have auto revive. I think, right?
Yeah. So it's impossible for basically anyone to die. And on top of that, the boss is one of the most insultingly easy things you'll ever play. The trick to beat him is a trick that is basically the easiest way to kill any non-boss enemy in the game, where you cast a spell called Zombie on him, and this is just one way of beating him. You can beat him really easily, but like the easiest way is you cast a spell called Zombie on him, which reverses the effect of all. Is it items or is it items and spells? I forget.
Spells,
whatever. The point is,
spells are affected as well.
Yes, and so it reverses everything. Then you use a Cast a Phoenix Down on him, which normally revives an enemy, and it kills him. That is that's the only way to beat the boss. But that's
Another
an
way
example.
apparently is that he does damage to everything
This-
on screen, including himself. So you could
and he kills himself.
yeah,
essentially.
you can let him kill himself. Like seriously, like Nietzsche would have been very proud
Yeah.
of this idea.
The thing is, yeah, it's not that it's a frustrating boss. It's that it's so for what was built up as the main antagonist. Everything surrounding that final boss, like the setting, the place where it takes place, the music isn't very good. Like it's the final boss theme starts off all right, like it has this build up and then it has this like it's like a piano bit that starts off okay, but then it gets to this ridiculous, like someone was just improving. It takes place in like this orange cloud field on top of like a platform, so that's not very interesting. The boss is this tiny beetle, and it's I cannot put into words how insultingly easy this villain is, who is built up as like the main antagonist of the whole game. And so that I think is different reasons, but it's a particularly terrible one. I think I tend to hate. Maybe I don't know if I hate frustrating bosses or insultingly easy bosses more. I guess maybe I hate frustrating ones more just because insultingly easy boss. As long as it's not the final boss, those bosses I can beat them and then be done with them. But yeah, that's a pretty bad one.
At least Final Fantasy 10 to rectified that, because the final boss in that was actually pretty good in comparison.
In comparison, yes. I think I don't really. I mean, I like the idea that they try to do the thing where you don't fight some. Well, spoilers for Final Fantasy X too, but whatever. Where you don't fight some like giant evil space god at the end. You actually just fight a dude.
Which is
I don't really think
basically
the fight is-
which is basically
yeah.
Titus. The Titus.
Sort of, yeah.
Be,
Not Titus, but yeah.
it's
Titus
basically
was not really Titus.
what the dream. What Titus was created after.
Yeah, it's JRPG convolution. But yeah, that was better by comparison, but still not a particularly good one. Final Fantasy does tend to have occasionally will have some pretty stupid bosses. Oh, speaking of that, Barthandelus from Final Fantasy 13. That's the point which I originally. That's when I originally quit that game because I'm like, this boss.
I actually
is
didn't mind
retarded.
Barthandelus. I hated.
I guess
Orphan
that's
more.
considered a. I don't know. Orphan, I guess I could see that. I feel like Orphan at least has a little bit of actual challenge beyond just hope you don't get hit by the insta kill.
Yeah, but the 50% chance.
Although I guess Barthandelus had a bit of not really, because it's basically destroy all these things first and then hit the head. That's a pretty normal like base level strategy.
Attack everything but the head, then attack the head. That sounds like something you
Yeah.
get from like a Metroid game.
It's very
Or an
very-
action
it's very
game.
cheap boss.
Well,
Yeah, it's
all
very-
right,
very
Ryan,
cheap boss.
you're next.
Well, I think right now it goes. But Fire Emblem Echoes has a pretty
I didn't
terrible
mind that
final
much.
boss as well.
There's another boss in that final level that was definitely made things annoying. I actually was able to
Yes,
kill him.
there was.
There's a way to kill him. It's
Really?
stupid. I'll tell you after the podcast, but there is a way to kill him.
Okay.
all right, Ryan, you're next.
Another boss that quite a lot of players wish they didn't have to deal with, and very few can say that they've beaten him in one shot. The Capra Demon from Dark
And here, if I didn't say
Souls.
about the chaos.
Capra
Nah.
Demon. Oh, hold on. Let me get
It's-
back
Dark
on
Souls,
I
yeah.
think this is
I'm not familiar, but okay.
more annoying because of the fact that it's in a very enclosed area.
Ooh, I know what you're talking about. Oh, I've heard about this one.
And then basically after this, he just becomes a standard enemy.
Oh, it's one of those
So,
tropes.
Alright.
Or like a
Basically,
Bloodborne does that too.
it's one of the earlier bosses in the game. Generally, what happens is you first go up and to go to the higher bell tower, and then you need to go down low to get to the underground bell tower. Slight spoilers, but nothing too serious because you can get the idea anyway. But the Cap Redeemer is in quite a confined arena. He's about slightly taller than the player character would be. But he's not alone, unfortunately. No, he has 2 dogs with him. So not only are you trying to avoid the demon's attacks with his 2 machete swords, basically, but you're also having to deal with 2 dogs that, unless you take out first and quickly, you're going to suffer and die a lot.
Which I guess is the point of Dark Souls, but
Yeah,
whatever.
but the thing is, most of the time in Dark Souls makes you feel like, oh, that was unfortunate. Or, I should have rolled and not guarded there.
Kind of
It makes you feel like
Overwatch.
it's your fault rather than luck.
Exactly.
It's one of those games
Right.
where it's
I
hard
mean,
to master.
there are some times where it's just like Dark Souls throughout the whole series. It's just like, oh, how the hell did that happen? But it's not like all the time. Like the Bed of Chaos,
right.
that's a bullshit boss. Admittedly, yes.
Has a cool design
But
though,
it's
but
later
it
on.
sucks.
Yeah, the Capra Demon is basically just a nobody. It's not even meant to be an important boss fight. It's just a way to get to the underground. And it's just one way to get onto to the underground area. You don't even need to beat him, really. He's basically an optional boss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I wouldn't know because I haven't really finished Dark Souls 1 yet.
But yes. And so once you manage to, once you take out the dogs, because you kind of have to take those things out. The idea of this guy is you have to run up the flight of stairs, which is a thin and enough for one person really to go up efficiently. And then you try and take out the dogs that way. The Capra Demon will be following up as well. And then you have to go up a very thin arch, which is barely enough room for you. And the Capra Demon can actually get onto there as well. And if he does, well, you're screwed. But if he doesn't, then he falls down, and then you've got a chance to basically do what you have to do. You fall a falling attack, you can damage him, you can climb up the stairs, fall down, falling attack, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, until you mess up or die! Or unless he dies as well.
Yeah. Alright, my turn. You and I mentioned Kingdom Hearts. Oh man, I forgot how many bullcrappy bosses there were in the game. Like Sephiroth in the final battle second form. Oh, that was so much fun
Wait,
to play through.
You mean in Kingdom Hearts 1?
But the worst.
Sephiroth in any Kingdom Hearts game.
No, actually, I actually really like
I'm thinking
Well,
of the final boss. No, Ansem second form. In the
Oh,
yeah, I
PlayStation
forgot that.
Sales.
one.
Yeah,
I kind of
Ansem's
forgot
pretty-
about that. I kind of forgot Ansem was the final boss in that game.
in the first one, but
Yeah.
the one of the worst, in my opinion, is also come from one of the most blandest characters in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh.
Zaldin!
Real? You didn't like the Zeldan fight?
Who?
Really?
Wait, you liked
Oh!
Okay.
That's my blood!
Wait, who? I have to look this character up because I've completely.
Yes,
forgotten.
he is forgettable, and his
on.
boss fight is utter bullcrap!
Calm down, buddy. Wait, which one was he
He's in
in?
Kingdom Hearts
He
2.
was in Kingdom Hearts 2,
I said it first.
Beast's Castle.
I said it,
It's-
I said
Oh,
it first,
okay.
Caius. Therefore,
Oh,
Daniel
this
has to,
guy.
therefore Daniel's dialogue has to be cut from that, from the final version.
I don't
But
care.
so let's.
Uh,
So the thing is, he carries around 5 spears. Kind of cool, huh? Trying to.
oh,
I
unlimited
think it's 6
blade
actually.
Awesome.
Oh well.
Who cares? It's still painful to fight. So he has not only the advantages of 2 spears, but 6 spears trying to attack him. So That's a big pain in the butt, and the only way you get...
Is this basically like similar to Headlock in the sense that you're basically fighting with what? He's basically multiplying the amount of damage that he can deal to you with one hit.
Yeah, and I think, isn't it also like where it's only you?
No.
It's like a duel.
No,
It's
have
supposed to be like
party members.
I don't. Okay, I don't remember because basically he will take them out almost immediately. Pretty much, because they will be instantly taken out. No matter who. No matter if it was Beast, or Donald, Goofy, boom, they're gone. Because it's basically you versus him. So that is kind of a tough fight. Like, he can throw the spears up and they go down on you like straight lines. So he has projectiles game. So yeah. But then he goes into combining his spears into a dragon. And if you didn't think of ever using Reflecta at all, which is the only, and you have to time it right, otherwise, most of your HP is gonna get taken out.
Or if you level up your forms, you can just use aerial dodge.
Right. And so, so much painful. And then, if you try to use your forms, of course, if you get lucky, then you'll automatically go into anti-form.
Oh no!
The only saving grace in that fight is that it's the one of the few times where Mickey will show up randomly. If you get a kill, you will have a possibility of Mickey showing up.
That usually is the first boss that Mickey shows up in.
Yeah, and they don't. I don't think they explain much of why he showed up. Like, wait, he showed up, where? And then he just disappears. So yeah, that is a painful ball, and it doesn't help that Zaldin himself, his character. So boring. All right, Curtis, you're next.
What? Wait, I'm next. But I already talked.
I think
Yeah,
we've already
I
gone.
talked about Demix,
random.
dude.
Let's just throw a random. I say we throw a random boss because I mean, what comes to mind for me is the Adamantoise
Oh, God.
from basically any Final Fantasy game, but specifically 13 and 15. That's a particularly obnoxious one. The Hanged Man from Persona 3.
Really? That one?
That one I quite despised.
Speaking of Persona, you know what else is a terrible boss?
Tell us what's a terrible boss.
Shadow Mitsuo, of course!
I guess, but man, kind of forgot.
Yeah, I can't say it's good.
It's the worst boss in the entire game. Like,
Real?
it's like...
Yeah.
Well, at least he has an awesome. At least he has an awesome 8-bit theme in Golden.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's stupid. It's like horrible.
I gotta say, I think I haven't decided yet. I think the optional boss from the optional boss from Golden might be worse. It's not really an optional boss, but the not true final boss that was added in Golden, I think, is probably the worst in Persona.
Well, I am excluding Golden because it's Golden, but...
What's wrong with Golden?
He's just jealous he can't play it.
Golden's better.
It's just...
But anyway,
I don't think he's played Golden, so he cannot really involve it.
okay, fine. Oh, this is gonna be good. He's gonna have like some sort of face. whenever
I
his camera shows up.
tried. Apparently my camera decided not to work.
Golden is better than the original, objectively.
Anyway,
But anyway,
what were you gonna say?
Yeah, Shadow Mitsuo, so first off, so basically the premise is you have to break through this outer skin who uses RPG mechanics like whacking you, which gives you putting a lot of damage, or he can cast lightning on you to your whole party, doing massive damage on all the party. Okay, that's fine. Once you break the skin, which takes about 3 layers of doing it. No. He rebuilds himself in 3 times. But, oh yeah, I'll get to that. Once you destroyed the skin, Then you get to the actual shadow itself, which is a giant baby. And so every time you attack it, I think it's like every time you attack it, it does an action or something like that, where it does like a reactionary thing every time you whack on it. For reason. So he has like powerful spells, like one of the first almighty spells he uses. He also can do is reform the shield around him. If he does it 3 times, you have to fight the layer again. Also, he's one of the first bosses that goes twice.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, now that you're reminding me, he is a pretty bad boss, isn't he?
And he also has accesses to characters' weaknesses in your party. So he could go again. So you can probably guess the scenario that would most likely happen if you're unlucky. You break through the skin, and then one turn he gets back on, but the shield's back up, and he's stronger than before.
Wait, which boss? Oh yeah.
Shadow
right.
Mitsuo.
Shadow Mitsuo.
Every time he rebuilds his skin, he gets stronger.
Oh boy.
So yeah.
I'm trying to think if Persona 5 had any particularly egregious bosses. But I can't
Well, it's
really
kind of hard to do that without going too big into spoilers, but there's one boss, like, I would say it was annoying, but I wouldn't necessarily call it, like... I'd say it's like...
Is it the one that involves a timer?
Yes, I'd say, like, it's, like, the least good boss in the game, but it's not, like...
I'll agree, but it's not... That's not
yeah, it's not
too
terrible.
awful.
It's not anything like Demix or Flame High-Nard levels of bad.
Well, yeah, the most frustrating thing about bosses and battles in Persona 5 is the fact that if the main... It's not a matter of the bosses, it's if the main character falls, it's game over. But it's not the case with anyone else. That becomes frustrating just for any boss in that, though.
Also,
Trails of Cold Steel 2 is a pretty annoying final boss. True final boss. I guess the final boss of the I guess you would call the main
For
story is
me,
actually really
the
good.
final boss East one is really annoying. It's Dark Fact, where in that boss he pretty much, because of East one's really archaic battle system and the bump system, every single time you hit him, a hole appears right under where you hit him, and if you accidentally hit and if you aren't moving and you get trapped in another hole, you'll just fall through the floor and just die automatically.
that is a
You have no idea how
stupid
many times that
idea.
boss took me to beat.
It's stupid. That is.
Damn it! Yeah.
Another stupid thing is the final Starfighter battle in Jedi Starfighter, the first one. So,
Jedi Star. Wait, the first one is Star Wars Starfighter, not Jedi.
oh yeah,
Wait,
Star Wars
what?
Starfighter, yeah, the one that's in Episode 1.
Ah.
So in that final battle,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that one.
yeah, it's
Oh.
so bad because here's the main problem with it: you are fighting in an enclosed area, so if you crash onto it, you will gain damage and most likely die. He will shoot at you, shooting missiles, and also he's flying around. So you're trying to do a dogfight, like this cool dogfighting thing, but it's quite hard to do. And the only way you can do it is lock on missiles, which have a limited number of supply on, and they don't recharge. And then another thing, the worst part of it is that the game has the mechanic where enemies have shields, so you have to break through the shields, and then it has the actual health. And it's same with your ship. Basically, you're fighting yourself, because you have to take out the shields, then try to take out the fighter, but the shields will recharge. So you could spend hours, literally hours, fighting in one of the control ships with the possibility of it, which realistically could have been exploding at any point because Anakin would destroy it.
Yeah. Oh man, I hadn't played that game in so long. But you're right. Oh my gosh, I've forgotten.
And at least
That's a bad one.
yeah, at least in Jedi Starfighter, like in that one, it actually has like you have like force powers for at least for that final boss stuff where you can put shields up for your ship, or you could shoot a shockwave, or you could even try to electrocute him, but I don't think you can't do it in the fights. But also you have a freeze time ability where you can slow down time so you can actually carefully aim your shots at him. So you can actually hit him! Oh yeah, and you can play co-op on the game, so you can actually have 2 fighters shooting at him. Ugh.
I have one last boss, and then I think that shall do.
Alright.
Let's...
Ruby Reppin from Final Fantasy VII, though. I just want to throw that one out there.
Yeah.
That's an annoying one.
Well, how
Also,
about we go-
Monsoon and General Senator Armstrong are pretty bad
No,
ones.
Senator Armstrong is an awesome final boss.
It's just hard.
Not that-
It's hard, and
Really?
there's not a good checkpoint system. But I think Armstrong.
Yeah, like I'm curious.
Yeah. I think it's a good fight, but I think it has bad checkpoints and.
I don't know.
And
I never,
also
found, I
the
never really
blue-
found that
yeah,
boss hard.
yeah.
I loved. I mean, sure, it was difficult the first time, but you know what? After I figured out how to get past certain parts, it became pretty easy. I mean, I do understand
With no,
criticism,
but the
but
force loss scenario right before the final showdown, it starts out great where you're fighting a giant mech, awesome. Okay, awesomeness. This you could try to do 1-on-1, and it's a force loss scenario. So, but it does. There's no real indication of it. So
No?
you are gonna spend all of your health trying to beat him up, and then he just kicks your butt, and then you go to the final encounter with all your health regen off.
you know you can actually
So
get
you can't-
you can actually get health items during the battle if you know how to do know how to do it
Yeah.
properly, right?
Oh yeah, and using blade mode, which sucks.
Nope, but okay.
Anyway, let's go to the Bean Kingdom in Mario Luigi Superstar Saga.
Which is getting a remake,
So good.
which is cool.
And let us go to the final boss once more. Cackletta.
Let us.
Catalyst.
Oh.
Actually beat on my first
Yeah.
try, which is
Yep.
I haven't played it, so explain
So-
to me why it's horrible.
Okay, let's start off like this. First of all, you go against Bowletta, which is Cackletta controlling Bowser. In fact, so much so that Bowser actually has breasts.
Well, that's kind of funny.
Boobies!
Heh.
And so you have to first
That's
face off
okay.
against Bowletta. After you manage to do a certain amount of damage against Bowletta, some bombs go off and basically take you down to 1 health, and then Bowletta eats you. She just basically starts sucking. She just starts sucking, and you both, and then Mario and Luigi, he ends up going into her stomach, where you face Cackletta's soul, and you have 1 hit point for both Mario and Luigi.
Ooh, that sounds like
Yeah,
a stupid
that
idea.
one is.
It
It's pretty
also
bad.
looks like it's a case of this is a force loss battle. If you are used to RPG, you think, well, this is just a case of if I lose the battle, I'll just have a cutscene and something like that.
Nope. You get.
You have to. But no. If you lose, you have to go face against Bowletta all over again. So, unless either Mario or Luigi have higher speed compared to Cackletta Soul, you
Or
have
you're
to,
very good.
and if this is your first time facing it, you're more likely on not being able to know how to avoid the attacks.
Well, the build I usually use for Luigi, it's not really that big a problem for me, because I always spec Luigi as defensive speed with Mario's attack SP.
Yeah, but like I said, not everyone has different ways of playing the game, so not everyone will have high enough speed, but if they don't have high enough speed at that point, then they're going to be going last. And
Yeah.
I believe Cackletasil has 2 attacks.
Yep, she's a bitch.
So yeah, you have to avoid 2 attacks before you may have your chance to get your first turn.
And trying to heal one
Or
party
you
member.
can just use beans and just
Actually,
heal
no,
both.
you can. Yeah,
Okay, I was just joking on that one. That would be stupid. I was just thinking of like what would be stupid to lay on top of it. Oh yeah, all healing items are only for one character.
yeah, not that stupid at least. But yeah, and you've got to deal with
Golbez from
that.
Final Fantasy. Golbez from Final Fantasy IV has a very similar at least in the DS remake, is a very similar problem, where you basically start out the battle with almost all your party members dead. So, or down, I guess.
At a very
So-
critical point of their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and you have to go through an entire boss fight right before him, so if you lose it, you have to do it again. But yeah, that's a similar problem. And I was thinking, like, well, I was gonna say, like, at least, you know, in Cackletta, you have a really, you know, cool final boss theme to go along with it, but you really don't.
It's
The
just,
final boss
it's
theme
just
isn't bad.
I like
basically,
Cackletta Soul.
it's just basically,
It's boss theme.
Cackletasil is basically what I imagine to be a haunted house kind of song.
Sort of. It's a shame because I believe it is. It's Yoko Shimomura did the music for
Yeah.
that one too, right? I know she did all the other ones.
Yeah,
So
like I don't think it's bad. It's just,
it's very repetitive. It's like it's like all over the place and repetitive, and it's, yeah. I know.
anyway.
Alright. Well, it looks like all talking about all these crappy bosses have drained us.
I think we've managed to keep our salt from going too far off the walls. Though
From dehydrating us completely.
Yep.
Mario and Luigi Paper Jam has a pretty awesome final boss theme, though.
Is it better than Mario and Luigi Bowser's Dead Stories?
I'd have to find it.
anyway,
So I don't remember how that one
I think
goes.
that's enough for this podcast. Wouldn't you agree, Caius?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking maybe we could do boss
No,
fights
we've
we
already been-
like.
we've
but
already been doing
I
it for-
don't know.
That could be
I think
next
that's
time.
good.
Next time.
It's an hour. We're an hour. and
Next
45
time on the
minutes.
Arcaders Pod Z.
If we ever do another one, but who knows?
Oh,
Alright,
come
so,
on. Why? Why not?
I don't know, because we're all lazy.
Huh.
At least I'm lazy.
And you're
Which
the,
is
you're
weird,
the one
'cause I
that has
do
to edit
more-
anyway. So
I do more online content than all of you, and I'm probably the laziest, but whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Arcaders Pub. I've had today with me most of our regulars, with all the founding members, Daniel Van Dyke.
See ya, guys.
We've at last had the British man himself. I should have come up with a better name than just the British man, but Ryan is also here.
You mean not Rabbit Luigi?
Wow.
Not Rabbit Luigi.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, unfortunately, you're not that important yet, Caius.
He sounds too like Ryan sounds a bit more, I guess, jaded. Rabbit Luigi sounds like he's a lot more full of
Yeah.
energy. But
Have
Maybe
you,
it's
have you
just
heard
how it
his
sounds right
Have you
now.
heard his earlier videos?
yeah, where he sounds like he's asleep. He's
Yeah.
just talking in his sleep. But we've also had the muscular writer himself,
The Rayquaza.
which not less so in real
Oh,
life,
thanks.
but his profile picture makes up for it. Hey, Hey, I'm not nearly as sexy as my profile picture.
Wow,
so-
that must
And then
be
finally,
very
we
interesting.
had
Smug.
the master of the
We also had-
jujitsu
we
style,
also had-
Curtis Todd, aka Jude Knight.
Sup?
yes. Hey, and with that,
For good.
time to close up the pub.
No, I'm kidding.
Um,
I'm kidding.
yeah, yeah, whatever.
Till we next decide to open up.
Yeah.
I'm hoping soon.
Anyone got a
goodbye,
clever word at the end of the
everyone. Make
episode?
sure exploding penguins doesn't kill you in the future.
Dance, water, dance!
Oh!
That's a story for another time.